Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So here in Arizona, we are like days away from the new school year starting. We are not prepared at all, really. The kids have their supplies, but other than that, like we're still in full summer mode over here. So I'm taking today to really get our house in order. I want to clean everything up. I also want to go through all the kids' clothes. That's a whole process in itself. And then I also am really wanting to get their school lunch station set up. Last year, as you guys probably know, everyone was given free lunch. In the beginning of the year, I felt like we were making our lunches more often, but by the end, like it was pretty much every day was hot lunch. And so this year we're having to get back into the groove of like making our own lunches from home and taking them that way because it adds up so quickly, especially we have 3 boys and it's like hundreds of dollars a month if we don't. So I want to get that all situated and just tackle a few other areas in the house. So I figured I would take you guys along with me as we prep for back to school. I wanna hear you say So I'm just going to be starting out in our living room, mostly because our living room wasn't too terribly dirty and I wanted to kind of just tackle that really quick so that I could move on and already start to get that domino chore effect and like motivation going. And then once I was done with the living room, I just went ahead and moved into the kitchen. So you guys will have to let me know, when do you guys start back at school? Up in Montana, we always started like around Labor Day. It maybe wasn't after Labor Day, but it was like the week before or something. And then down here in Arizona, they're starting back the very first week of August, which really just feels super early to me, honestly. Like even in Utah, I felt like it was later on in August, like towards the end, but we do also get out a bit early. So we get out like mid-May or so, and then we end up having a few extra breaks throughout the year. So I'm sure it all kind of evens out, but this summer has just felt so incredibly fast. And as you guys know, we are not really prepared for school to start, and we're definitely still feeling like we're in summer mode. So it's going to be a bit of a transition. And on one hand, I'm a little bit bummed to start school just because I do love having the kids home with us. But one thing that summer never fails to bring is chaos in our home. I feel like all our routines go out the window. All the structure that we set up throughout the year is kind of gone, and it's just a little bit like the Wild West here in our house during the summer. And so it will be really nice to kind of bring some more of that routine back and more of that structure back in, just because I do feel like we all kind of thrive better under those circumstances, even though we may still want like the free time of summer. So we're kind of looking forward to it, kind of not, but it's here. So we're definitely just gonna make the best of it. Also, I did just want to say really quick, I've been hearing from so many that people have been getting unsubscribed lately. Like my mom has been unsubscribed so many times from my channel. I don't know what's going on with YouTube, but make sure to check and see that you are subscribed still. And if you haven't already subscribed, I would love for you to hit that button and join the family. So these are just some items that I very quickly decluttered from our school cabinet the other day, or our lunch cabinet the other day. I didn't do like a full-on declutter in the kitchen or anything, but here and there I'll just do like one quick 5-minute declutter of a cabinet or something, and that definitely helps us keep our clutter a little bit less. I was just talking to my sister when she was visiting the other day. I used to be like way more minimal on things. I used to really stay on top of our decluttering, and I feel like I really have not done that the last several years. And I really want to get back to that because I'm just like constantly searching around, trying to figure out what the magic answer is to life, what is going to make our life more simple and easy. And every time I just feel like I go back to keeping a clean and decluttered house and just not having all of that extra in the house. So I definitely want to kind of aim for that this year, even though we are 8 months into the year and we're getting into like the busy season of fall. I'm a big believer that it's never too late to start something. You can always improve no matter where you're at. And I just feel like our house has really gotten away from us over the last several years. I've like worked on it obviously, but I just need to change some things. So let me know if you guys have kind of felt like in the same boat. I feel like the world is just so chaotic and busy sometimes that I feel like a lot of us are just really kind of clinging to our homes and trying to make them as peaceful and calm as we can. So if you guys are in the same boat as me and you want to see like some decluttering content, let me know in the comments, because I know it's not springtime. I know it's not that time where it's typically like the focus, but I really am feeling the need for that. So if you guys are interested, I can definitely share that journey with you guys. Another thing that I'm really looking forward to getting into or like kind of fixing is our nighttime routine. During the school year, we are typically pretty good with doing like a nighttime family pickup, and we don't do anything intense during that time. We just like do a general tidy around the house. The boys clean their rooms, we clean up the theater room a bit, and then we tackle like the main living area, like the living room, dining room, and kitchen. But once again, during the summer, things have slipped, and that has happened sometimes, but definitely not a majority of the time. So we're excited to get back into that as well. I used to be the kind of person where I could not go to bed with a messy house, like with a messy kitchen or dishes in my sink. And over time, I've kind of chilled out on that, which in a way can be good, but also the fact that I'm able to go to bed with a messy house sometimes, it doesn't really push me to get the house clean at night. So it's definitely a little good and a little bit bad, but that is really something that I feel makes such a big difference in how our day goes. And so I do want to really focus on doing that. Let me know if you're a person who needs to have the house clean every night, or if it's like really not that big of a deal to you. Again, I was just talking to my sister about this the other day when she was visiting, and I think we used to be totally alike in this way, because she was saying she literally just cannot even go to sleep with a dirty house, and I used to be like that. And over time, I've just kind of felt like something has to give, and I've had to kind of let go of some of my little perfectionist qualities, I guess. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not really sure where this falls. That was one of those things that kind of faded away, is my absolute need to have a clean house every night. It's nice to not have to have that feeling where you absolutely have to have your house clean every single night, but I feel like for me, it really does serve me to take a little bit of time and do that.
Feels better than the quiet. Can I take you to a movie? Or we could just walk down Broadway. I think I wanna get to know ya. Are you free this Friday? 'Cause the city lights shine every night I spend with you. I felt so great, now the sky looks extra blue. And we close your eyes tonight, I hope you see it too. I was afraid of something new, till I found you. 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 Can you imagine if we never met? If you couldn't feel my heartbeat laying on my chest?
So I finally have kind of changed up my sink station area, not really with the items that I'm using, but like this little silicone tray that I got right here. I got that from Amazon, and I've really, really loved it just because it's not glass, so it's not breakable, but it actually looks like stone until you pick it up and move it and you realize it's wiggly. But I really, really love that one. And then my dish drain, which I have right next to the sink, which collapses really tiny. It's just so, so convenient because it's always there. And then if I have to wash something really little, like a knife or a spoon or something or a cup, I don't even have to pull it out, but it also holds a lot if I need to do like a full dishwashing. And then all the water just kind of drains out of it when you collapse it back closed and just tilt it on its side. So both of these were from Amazon. I will have them linked down below in case if you like them and want to add them into your home. But I found it's kind of nice just to kind of switch things up every now and then. And in the world of homemaking where things can feel very mundane, kind of freshen things up and just make things feel a little bit new sometimes.
Till I found you.
So to wipe down my counters, I am just using my e-cloths with water. So I'm using the general purpose cloth to wipe everything down, and then I'm just kind of polishing everything and drying everything off with my glass and polishing cloth. This is typically the way that I get my counters the nicest, like the shiniest, is by making sure to dry and polish them. I don't do this every single time, but when I do take the time to do this, I just feel like it does make a pretty big difference in like not leaving any water spots or anything like that. And then I also use the same combo on my fridge without any chemicals or anything, just water, and it gets it so shiny and so clean, and it also leaves absolutely 0 streaks.
I can never go back to the days on my own, crying on the phone, trying to fix her so I wouldn't be alone. Didn't understand why I had to let it go, cause then I never know that the city lights shine every night I spend with you. I felt so great, now the sky looks extra blue. And when you close your eyes tonight, I hope you see it too. I was afraid of something new, till I found you. 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 Till I found you.
So before we jump into the lunch area for back to school, I wanted to get started our dinner, which is going to be an AIP compliant cilantro lime pork carnitas. It's actually from this cookbook. I'll link it down below. I have ordered a lot of cookbooks and I've returned a lot of cookbooks because I found a lot of them are not AIP compliant. I kind of talked about this a little bit last week, but basically AIP is just an autoimmune protocol, and it's what I'm doing right now for my hashimotos, just to get things in check, hopefully. Basically, you take out a lot of like inflammatory foods, and then slowly you can start adding them back in. So I'm still in the beginning stages of this, but I'm gonna go ahead and make this. This is something that I think like anyone would like, even if you're not AIP. It's just very healthy and very clean. I'm gonna go ahead and make this, and like I said, I will link this cookbook down below just because I felt like this one has been pretty helpful for me. And then once we're done getting the Crockpot going, we will jump into the back to school prep. So for this recipe, you're going to need 1 pound of pork butt, 1/4 cup of fresh cilantro, 1/2 cup of onion, 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, 3 tablespoons of fresh lime juice, as well as 3 tablespoons of fresh grapefruit juice, 1/4 teaspoon of dried oregano, and 1 teaspoon of salt. This is just one of those crockpot recipes. There's like barely any prep right in the beginning, and then it's literally just like dump and go. So all you're going to do to prep this is go ahead and take out your pork. I did make extra pork, so this is not just 1 pound. And then I also didn't really measure the other ingredients. I'd usually just kind of eyeball things like that. But to start out, you're just going to cut your pork into 2-inch cubes. And then once you add that into your crock pot, you're going to chop up 1/4 cup of fresh cilantro and add that right into the crock pot. Also cut up about 1/2 cup of onion. I just used a full onion because I was using a little bit extra meat. And then you're going to add in your minced garlic, your fresh lime juice and fresh grapefruit juice, and then 1/4 teaspoon of dried oregano, as well as 1 teaspoon of salt. And a few little tips that the book offers is you can actually use boneless, skinless chicken thighs instead of pork if you don't have that. And you can also substitute fresh orange juice if you don't have a grapefruit. So just a few little things to make this a little easier. And then once you have everything in there, I just kind of stirred it up the best I could to combine it, and then cook it on high for 4 hours. And then once it's done cooking, you can go ahead and shred it all with a fork, and you can serve this on a salad or in a tortilla, over nachos, over rice or cauliflower rice, just whatever works for you. It's super versatile. I feel like this is a super easy recipe. It's a really great one that you could actually do freezer meals with, or just make some extra and have a bunch of leftovers in your fridge like we're doing. If you eat AIP or paleo or something like that. Let me know if you have any good suggestions on recipes. I'm always looking for some new different things to eat as a family. I feel like I figured out some of the more individual items that I like to eat, but as far as cooking meals that the whole family can enjoy that I can also eat, I'm still kind of working on that part. So any tips you have, let me know in the comments for sure. Now that we have dinner cooking, it smells so good. I think it's all the lime. It just smells so good. But now that we have that all cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and open up our lunch cabinet area and kind of see what we have. We really haven't touched it much, so I'm not sure like what we'll have. And I wanna make things like super simple, super easy and streamlined, just anything to make back to school or like early mornings go smoothly. So down here we have all of the kids' lunch boxes. I really like having them in a container. This has worked really well for a long time we've done this. And then up here, this is where I have to kind of go through some things. Alright, a lot of these are actually dirty because they must have gotten put away dirty. I've been making like my own dressings and just making them in these containers. And apparently the dishwasher has not done a super great job with that, so all the dirty ones I'm going to stick back in the dishwasher. So these containers we have had for years and years and years. These are really perfect for a sandwich in this big section. Then you have like two other little sections. They are dishwasher safe. These ones I've had for several years and I really like them because they are like airtight. However, they say they're dishwasher safe and I only ever put them on the top rack and they have like kind of began to like bow a little bit. So they're really difficult to get lined up and get them like closed up, and now they are no longer airtight. So I actually think I'm going to get rid of these because at this point I just don't think I would ever go for them because of that. These ones I actually just ordered. Comes in a 4-pack for like $15 I think. I also want to make sure that it was a good size to be able to fit a sandwich because sometimes a sandwich is what you do. And then they have like a larger side and a smaller side. These can kind of be a little bit bulky, so I really like this size too. But these are perfect just for snacks or whatever, and they're reusable, so if they get dirty we just rinse them out and dry them and they're good to go. So that should be great. I also have some Mabel's labels. These are awesome for putting on like lunch containers, lunch boxes. Like they don't wear away. They are amazing. And then I just have like these random little cards. I don't even know where I got these from. I've just picked them up over the years, I guess. But sometimes I'll just like stick some of these in the boys' lunch boxes, or like these little lunchbox jokes. You just rip one out and stick them in their lunch. So fun. I do think I'm going to move where we've had our lunch cabinet area, just because in here is where we have like plastic bags and things like that. And I'm gonna put this down here, since down here is kind of like random stuff like charcuterie boards and just excess things. So I think I'm gonna stick those down there and see how that works. All right, I have like two pretty big tips for doing a back to school lunch station. My first tip is to keep everything in a container or bin like this. That way you can literally just pull one bin out, set it on the counter, and then when you're done, you can pop it back into the cabinet, and it just makes everything go so much smoother without having to constantly go back into a cabinet or a drawer. And it also keeps things really nice and corralled and organized. And then my second tip is to actually not overcomplicate this. When Luke first went to school and started eating lunch at school, I felt like I had all of the different gadgets and all of the different things, and like I just had so much stuff in there, and that worked, but honestly I just found out I didn't need all that stuff. So if you're deciding to make a little school lunch area, I would just make sure to keep things simple and definitely corral them into one bin or container that's easy to take in and out of the cabinet. I've talked about this before with you guys, but there have been so many times where I just get set in my ways. Like, this is how I set everything up when we moved in. And so we've kept our cabinets like this. And it's not necessarily the most convenient way to do it or the way that kind of serves our family best. So it is so important to me to get other people's opinions, whether it's my sisters or friends or you guys. Like, there are so many times where someone kind of outside of the picture can actually see your space a little bit better than you and give you some new ideas and new perspectives. This is just a great example of that. I have been so set in my ways on keeping my school cabinet over on the other side, whereas this makes way more sense. This is where we make sandwiches. This is where we have the bread and the jelly, and it's right next to the fridge. It's just located so much more conveniently. But if I just kept being in my way on this, I would have not even realized that, and we would have gone another year without having this in the most convenient spot. So to make these pre-made sandwiches for lunches, you're literally just going to make peanut butter and jelly or peanut butter and honey or almond butter or sun butter, whatever you're able to use at your school. Make up the sandwiches and then put them into individual Ziploc bags. And these are going to be perfect for when you're running late and you don't have time to get out the door. It's going to save you a lot of money not having like those random days where you're like, all right, fine, just get school lunch and you have to pay $3 for each kid. I feel like it's just going to make busy mornings a lot more smooth. This isn't going to be what we do every single lunch. We'll have other options, but this will be the perfect like quick lunch. And the boys already tried them out and they worked super well. They defrosted in like probably 30 minutes. And it's almost just like a homemade Crustables if you guys have ever gotten those for your kids. And as I was making these, I was kind of realizing I think you could actually do this with lunch meat and cheese as well. So you could even buy like a big pack of lunch meat from Costco and just buy a big pack of cheese from Costco as well. Put on whatever kind of condiments you want and just freeze that also. And I feel like that would work really great as well because you guys know meat can freeze really great, cheese can freeze really great, obviously bread can. And so I can't imagine why it wouldn't work great. So I'm not doing that today since I didn't have enough lunch meat and cheese and everything, but I'm definitely going to get some more sandwich bread and make some frozen lunch meat and cheese sandwiches as well for the kids. And this would be the perfect time if you guys have any back to school tips or especially lunch tips for back to school, let me know in the comments. I love going through the comments and just hearing all of your guys' great ideas and feedback. It's always amazing to me to know how much we can all learn from each other. All right, now that we have everything in here done, before we head upstairs and start working on the boys' clothes and all of that, I do want to tackle the floors really quick just because I really have been slacking on doing our floors. Our robot vacuum cleans them every day, but I really just want to do like a really good job like mopping and everything. And I actually picked up a new mop recently. I got it on a super good deal. So I thought I would go ahead and share that with you guys today and kind of tell you what I thought about it. I feel like anytime I vacuum, I always get questions about what vacuum I'm using, and I do have a few different ones. I've just kind of gotten them over the years, but this is my Roborock cordless vacuum. It is my favorite cordless vacuum that I've had so far. It has so much amazing technology that just helps it work super well. It tells you how much time you have left in the battery. I love how it charges up on the wall. It's just such a great vacuum, and I feel like I always see this one go on sale on Amazon. So I've seen it discounted for up to $100. So if you guys ever see this one and you're in the market for a really good cordless vacuum, I definitely recommend this guy. So this is the Shark Steam and Scrub Mop, and I have loved it. I haven't used it for very, very long. I feel like I've used it for maybe a few weeks or so, but I feel like it works super, super well. If you have had a steam mop in the past, you know you used to have to like pump the handles. And with this mop, it just does the work for you. It's literally like vacuuming, which you guys know I'm not a big fan of mopping. And so the fact that this kind of does all that work for you, and it's steaming the floor and it's also scrubbing the floor, and there's no mop or bucket or anything, it's just such an awesome mop. Now, I know I've shared a few different mops in the past, and I really do like them all, but just for different reasons. They all have like very different price points. Like our Robo-Rock Dyad is the one that's like a vacuum cleaner and a mop all in one. That one is the most expensive. That one is amazing because it literally cuts out an entire step. You're not having to vacuum your floors and then mop your floors. You can just do it all at once. But because that one is a bit more expensive, I feel like that's the biggest challenge with that one, is just the cost of it. Another one that I've used is the O Cedar mop, and I really love that one as well. That one's more of like a traditional mop and bucket, except with their new system, it actually doesn't spread around like the dirty water. You use like a full clean tank of water, and then you have your dirty water tank. That one is the cheapest. I think it's around like $40 or so, and that one works really well. That one is more of like a traditional mop and bucket one, where you have to fill up the bucket and things like that. And then this one is like right in the middle. So this one sells for about $100, and you do have a cord, which that's probably one of the worst things about this mop, is that it does have a cord. However, it is a long cord. So I usually don't feel like that's much of an issue. But if you're just wanting to do like a quick mopping, I feel like this one is great because there really isn't a lot of like prep work for it, and you don't have to sit there and like clean the filters or anything when you're done. All you have to do is just fill up the water, plug it in, and you're good to go. Oh, the stairs. I am very happy in our home that now we don't have carpet on our stairs, because if you remember, we used to have carpet on our stairs in Utah, and like you had to vacuum those, and it just got caked on with so much dog and cat hair that it was just kind of an annoying little task to do. Now we have wood stairs, so they are easier to clean, but I do feel like because our floors are so dark, they really show everything. And you guys know we have like a zoo at our house, and so we just have hair all the time everywhere, and the stairs are definitely a casualty in that as well. So I don't always get around to vacuuming the stairs, but when I do, I feel like it looks so, so nice. So here I'm just vacuuming them really quick. I really do like using like a cordless vacuum on stairs, just because then you don't have to deal with the cord or anything. And it just seems to be like a lot of the cordless vacuums are a lot more lightweight and easier to maneuver. And then this was actually my first time using this mop on the stairs themselves. And I did really like how easy it was. I felt like it kind of did the work for me again, and it got them looking so, so shiny and new. And as usual, I will have all the things that I used today linked down below. And if you have questions about anything, let me know in the comments, in case if you're looking for something that I didn't mention. All right, it is time to start tackling our kids' clothes, see what doesn't fit them anymore, declutter things, pack things away for the next cycle, and then also see if they need any new clothes for the school year. So I've shared how I do this in the past, and I'll kind of show you guys, but if you're new here or anything, or if you haven't seen those videos, I know that this is like pulling teeth sometimes for kids to sit there and like try on all these clothes. So I have a way that I do it, that I've done it since Luke was tiny, and this just saves us all so much time and so much sanity. But I'm gonna have like each of our boys come in the room with me. These are their clean clothes. I just did a load of like all the boys' clothes all day. We're gonna go ahead and put them away while I'm kind of like sorting through their clothes, and I'll have them in here for convenience so I can like check things if things are fitting. I'm actually gonna have them work on cleaning up their room. They're not too terribly bad, but they could always be better. I'm starting out in Liam's room, just kind of organizing his clean clothes that we just washed. Every time we do this, where we go through all their clothes, I really want to make sure that I don't have to do it a second time. And so we make sure to wash all of their clothes all in one day. And that way we know we're not missing out on any dirty clothes left in the hamper. So my trick for making this process go a little bit smoother is to hold up a few clothes to your kids and figure out which one fits them really, really well. And then you're basically just going to use that like as a template for going through the rest of their clothes. That way they don't have to try on everything. You don't even have to hold up everything to them. You just find a shirt that fits them really well, and then you compare the rest of the shirts to that like perfectly fitting shirt. And then the same thing for shorts. You find one shorts that fits them really well in the waist and the length and everything, and then you kind of go off of that. And there will still be a few pieces of clothing that I actually have to have them try on later, but it really minimizes that. And I feel like it helps the kids just kind of hold on to their patience a little bit longer instead of getting so bored of this process. Now that we've lived in Arizona a full year, which I still cannot believe we've been here that long, it just does not seem like that at all. But we've definitely learned pants are not a big thing. Like even during the winter time, our kids barely wore pants. And so we ended up having just so many extra pants that the kids never really wore. So this year I'm definitely not going to invest much in pants just because they're not really worn much here. And I also feel like because the boys are mostly wearing t-shirts and shorts all year, those items of clothing are typically a lot more forgiving as far as like growing out of them. Whereas pants, like you get the high waters pretty early on. And so because they're mostly wearing shorts and t-shirts all the time, I felt like we actually don't really need a whole lot of clothes this year. And also hopefully for Liam and Noah, I'll be able to pull out a lot of the old hand-me-down clothes that we've had, and I really won't have to do much shopping at all for them, which I feel like if that happens, this will be the first year that's ever happened.
Just take it, there's no reason we should waste it. Oh, 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 there's no mistaking when the sunlight's calling, ready now for all that's coming.
All right, the next room I'm tackling is Luke's, and I have been in like the worst habit of not going through their clothes throughout the year. I mostly have just been doing it like once in the beginning of the school year, and then not until the next school year do we go through them again. And you can really see that that has happened here. There were lots of clothes that he has grown out of, and there were lots of clothes that he just never wore anymore. And so since we'll shop a little bit during the year, he just had such an overflow of clothes. And we actually have been really loving shopping at like garage sales and things like that. Like Luke really loves the brand Under Armour, but I'm sure, as you know, those can get so expensive. And so we ended up finding this one yard sale a few months back, and they had a ton of Under Armour clothes. They were in really good shape. And so he ended up like getting a full wardrobe for like probably about $20 or so. They were selling them so cheap. So if you were in the market for a bunch of clothes, and especially as your kids get a little bit older and maybe a little bit more picky with their clothes or like what brands they're wearing, make sure you don't forget about yard sales. You can also, of course, go to Goodwill. Like we just went to Goodwill the other day and we found a ton of really great, nice quality name brand clothing there. But definitely just don't overlook secondhand clothing. A lot of times you can find things in almost new condition and for like a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of the cost.
Of all that lies ahead, I think we got it, the life we wanted. It feels like everything is going our way. I think we made it after all the waiting. It feels like everything is going our way.
All right, Noah, you ready to come to your clothes?
Why? Why?
Okay, let's go. I know I talked about this in the last video that we shared last week, just about how much the kids have grown, but it is so sad to me when I watch them grow. Like obviously on one hand, you love to watch them grow and do new things and just see the person that they're turning into and everything, which is so amazing and such a blessing. But it also just makes me so sad because I just see this time slipping away so quickly, and it just makes me really want to do everything I can to just enjoy every moment with my kids, because like Luke, he is 11 years old now. He'll be turning 12 in a few months. And that means I have about 6 years left. And I actually hate even saying that because I'm just going to start getting really sad, start crying about this, but it just is so crazy how fast time goes. And I feel like if you don't take the time to really enjoy those small moments with your kids or, with whoever is in your life, time will slip by way faster than we're ready for. And before we know it, those days are past. So I would urge you today, because obviously I'm a little in my feelings about back to school starting and everything, but I would urge you to take that time today, spend it with your family, spend it with your kids, spend it doing what you enjoy doing, because the time is not going to wait for you. It's going to pass you by. So this is your little reminder from me to not let time pass you by without enjoying it. All right, now that we have all the boys' clothes sorted through, they got rid of a lot. So we're actually gonna head out in the garage just for a quick moment, because even though we finished my sister's makeovers like several weeks ago, we still have not messed back with the garage, and we just unloaded everything that we didn't use from her house and we just left it there. So I wanna go ahead and kind of like sort through that stuff so that we can actually start parking the car back in the garage again. Like I said, our garage has been like this ever since getting home from my sister's house and doing the Budget But Home Makeover series. We got home really late that night and it was raining, and so we quickly just put everything into the garage right here, and then there it sat. As we got busy, we had company. One of my other sisters came to visit, and I feel like the last few weeks have just been so busy for us that we just have not been able to come out here and make time for it. Also, it's not really an inviting task to come out in the 100-degree weather and sort through your garage, but it was time and it really just needed to be done. So I just kind of started organizing things and pulling things out, like what things are gonna go inside and get organized in there, what things we needed to declutter, because we actually had a few piles of decluttered items that we needed to actually go donate. And as you'll see, we do have a few boxes. One is for a return, and then one of the boxes is an item that we actually have to build inside. And again, we just haven't gotten around to that yet. So because we do have a few of those bigger items, we actually weren't going to be able to fit the car back in here yet, but we are so close. And I got it clean enough that it's just so much better and so much more organized than it was.
Hot mess, effortless, throw yourself with the heat is high. Make it work somehow, get all over it, pour it all out, get all over it now. Make a mess, throw down with the
Now that we got everything else done around the house, it was time for dinner, and thankfully I had done the Crockpot meal earlier because we were starving at this point. So here you can kind of see how the pork turns out. I just went ahead, took out any of the extra fat, and then shredded it all. And then as you can see here, I'm adding a little extra lime juice, and I also ended up adding a little extra seasoning, so a little bit more oregano. And black pepper is like a little bit of a controversial thing on AIP I've found. Some people say you can have it, some people say not at all. So I do add a little bit of black pepper, not a whole lot, but just enough to kind of give it a little extra taste. And then I just ended up having mine over a bed of lettuce with some fresh squeezed lime juice and avocado. And then for Kyle and the boys, I ended up making some quick quesadillas, and they love them. So if you're looking for like a clean recipe, even if you're not on AIP, this would be a great one for you. And if you're not on AIP, you can definitely add more to it. Like you could add peppers or, just whatever, but definitely a great one to try out.
get all over it. Hey, are you digging in? Or you on the surface with the
So that is going to be everything for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me today and just kind of getting everything ready for school. I hope you guys have a couple more weeks of summer left, but if not, hopefully this video was in time for you to go ahead and get some motivation to get your own home prepped and ready for back to school. And before we end the video, I just wanted to show you guys a few clips of outside because here in Arizona, we are in the middle of monsoon season and we have been having some crazy storms, especially this one on this night. Like, I don't remember what Kyle said, but I think he said the wind was like 60 miles per hour or something, and we just had a ton of rain. It doesn't rain here very often, but when it does, it pours. Like, there is so much rain that falls from the sky, and the kids absolutely love it. They always go play in the rain. So I just thought that was kind of fun to share at the very end of this video, but I hope you guys really enjoyed hanging out today. And if you are not already subscribed, be sure you subscribe down below so that you don't miss out on future videos. We have a ton of new ones coming, and we're getting into fall, so that means there's going to be lots of decorating videos and all of that fun stuff as well. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.